how you can resolve the problems to give back the land to the farmer and the creeks and the river back to the fishermen. As a stakeholder, you have a responsibility. What kind of pressure do you have for the Nigerian government that they will take their responsibility? Do you want to finance an independent research about the impact of pollution on the health of the local people? How many percentage of your profit you invest now in corporate social responsibility? And the last question is, I hear that it is possible for you to have military enforcement of the Nigerian government so that it will be possible for you to clean up the mess.
Let me do my best. Obligation to clean up and remediate, absolutely, regardless of the cause. We've said that several times, and we do it. There's a question about, have we made a positive contribution to society? Well, it's in the paper, but I think we're probably, well, SPDC, the joint venture, because everyone shares in this, is probably the largest single corporate sponsor in West Africa. You saw the numbers, $214 million in 2009. 17,000 people on scholarships and studentships these days. There are only 2 hospitals in West Africa that have achieved international accreditation in terms of the quality of care. They're both run by Shell. Our AIDS program is widely recognized as one of the best in the region. I can go on and on and on, but all of this is only a tiny fraction of the problem. You mentioned power. Shell's not a power company, but we did build a power station, and we currently supply, believe it or not, that one power station supplies about 20-25% of the power in Nigeria today. And we did that at the request of the presidency. So I do believe we do contribute. I do believe we make a difference, despite some of the rhetoric you heard today. Compensation. The situation is quite clear that if the compensation is our fault, we will, if the leak is our fault, then we pay compensation. That compensation is paid taking into account the value lost, whether it's fishing, whether it's agriculture, the amount of the length of time that the land may be taken out of use, or whatever. We don't pay compensation if it's sabotage, because as we mentioned before, that gives a perverse incentive to create more environmental damage to some sectors. Percentage in CSR, I cannot give you that number for the Shell Group as a whole. I'm sure somebody can, but I can't give you it here today. Independent assessment. In terms of OSPL and remediation, I heard an assertion today that we haven't cleaned up a single site properly in Nigeria. I utterly refute that. We are talking with NOSTRA, which is the Nigerian agency responsible for certifying these sites, as to their willingness to bring in an independent international third party. And they're quite open to that. But we must get the approval of the Nigerian authorities to do that. We cannot impose these things on the Nigerian agencies.
How profitable is it for Shell to stay in Nigeria? You told us that you get just a small part of the profits of the oil production, and your activities in Nigeria don't seem to be very good for your reputation. How see you develop your future activities in Nigeria? Shell is well known of their different scenarios. What different scenarios do you have for your future activities in Nigeria?
We've been in Nigeria for 50 years, and we'll be in Nigeria for much, much longer. We've talked about, as we said earlier today, one company which has some particular problems in the environment that operates, but that is only one company in 3. I don't think of any scenario at the moment that would have Shell exiting in the short to medium term, and the only thing that would drive that would be if it was no longer safe for our people to operate. But that, as already been said, is a dilemma, because over 90% of our people are Nigerian and they have nowhere else to go. So it's not a question of just pulling out expats, that's not the issue. It's mainly a Nigerian business.
You said that we have a local license to operate, and if you see the security issue you're faced with, would you consider you still have a local license to operate?
Yes, I believe we do. I think if you had a fully representative sample of most of the communities in the Delta, rather than a self-selected subset, you'd get a lot of people who would endorse that.
My specific question about the court case of the Eyama Igugu people from 40 years ago, I can read all the details, but I'm sure you know which court case I'm alluding to. My direct question, is Shell going to comply with the judicial statement of the Nigerian court and pay up and clean up?
I think the case you're referring to was a spill that occurred due to military action in the Biafran War. Just to put the record straight, it wasn't an operational issue at all. Shell had moved in to clean that up. There is a dispute about access, about cleanup, which is often the case there. We will do what we think is fair and reasonable and we will achieve that through the court system. You wouldn't expect Shell or any other company or individual to agree to every court judgment if you felt it was wrong, and we're no different. If we think
10 years in court.
That Mr. Craig finishes answer.
If we think the judgment is unfair and wrong, we have the right to appeal, as you would as an individual.
I can only say I'm disappointed because the rhetoric is we want to build up the system, we want to comply, we want to clean up. Shell's been in court for 10 years. It's not going to break the back of the company. It would be a wonderful gesture to say, yes, we believe in the Nigerian legal system and we're going to reinforce it. And I'm disappointed that Shell is not taking this opportunity to start making, as you say, further improvements in Nigeria.
At the end of the day, though, if you have a case and you believe you have a strong case and you have to defend it, surely everybody's got a right to do that in the way they see fit. And I've heard twice here today that there's something wrong with Shell going to court. I found it really strange.
The judgment is of the 5th of July of 2010, so that wasn't yesterday, which would have given you some time to consider. But the answer of Shell is very clear. Shell is going to tie up the Nigerian courts for another 10 years in appeals and not.
I didn't say that. I'm not too familiar with the case. But
Are you willing to cooperate with organizations like Amnesty International to get independent and credible data on oil spill?
I answered it in relation to cleanup and remediation, where we have made progress with Nostra. In terms of the determination of the cause of the spill, that is also a Nigerian legal requirement. The Nigerian agency must determine that. We cannot dictate the involvement of others, and you can imagine the problems that you would get if a third party came to a different conclusion than the official authority in Nigeria. We're amenable, always amenable to having independent people to verify the quality of what we do on a sample basis or otherwise. So the principle we can work with, but the legal system at the moment is that it's the agency, the Nigerian agency, that determines that.
Thank you so much.